Hey family, it is Jeanette the Oracle again, and I am here today to talk to you about how you can strengthen your value proposition. I want to touch base on this because I find that people have a hard time with really allowing themselves to lean into those places where they are unique in their marketplace. So, if you're not familiar with the terminology of value proposition, you can think of this as like, your niche or your unique intellectual property kind of. But it's basically like what sets you apart in terms of what you're offering to people, and how you go about essentially like transforming their lives. Like ultimately, value proposition is really about what kind of transformation is being provided or how you are benefiting someone's life when they are using your product or engaging in a particular service that you offer, right? So I want to talk about like how you can go about strengthening that, because it has benefits beyond just the specific uh, uh, product or service. So when you have a strong value proposition or strong niche or what have you, right? It's going to have essentially three components. So the first is it's going to be clear, or it should be clear, what kind of problem or issue you are addressing or attempting to solve with that product and service. So I'll use myself as an example to help kind of ground this topic. For my business, Anderson Alchemy, it is a service-based business. I don't do any products, and I do coaching. So I do small group coaching, and I do private retainers, right? And for in general, with that for the business as well as for each offering, the objective is to support those leaders and specifically, entrepreneurs who are wanting to incorporate their spirituality into how they show up in leadership. They want to um, also be able to have that spirituality inform, or those metaphysical tools inform how they run their business. Because essentially, what the issue is, they're tired of feeling essentially like they have to be one way with themselves and one way out in the world. And so they're wanting to integrate all these various aspects of how they show up in the world into one. And so my business specifically lives at that intersection of spirituality and whether it's personal development, leadership development, business development, those places, that's where my business exists. So essentially, where spirituality intersects and necessarily informs those things, right? So whatever that's going to be for your particular business, that's what that is. But it should live in that area. Like what issue is coming up for folks? Like what's the main thing that they have going on that they want to address? There's going to be like lots of things that are addressed, but you want to have that in general as a framework, and then of course you can get more specific. Second thing, besides that, is you want to look at how your offer, product, or service is actually solving that particular issue. So again, in my case, what I do, in my lane, if you will, is I actually create the spiritual frameworks, methodologies, collate different tools and techniques that can be used. And I teach people and I train people how these actually can be applied to business, right? There's already familiarity with it because they're already doing it on their own, right? And they're wanting to interface again what already is working for them into the professional context. So what I provide is I help them like not have to try to figure that out on their own. I actually already provide that for them, and I train them on those things and give them the space and the coaching and the time to test those things out, see what works best, tweak whatever might need to for their specific situation. But they have those things. Like I actually provide the frameworks for them, right? So again, whatever that's going to be for you is going to be like your secret recipe for a particular product that you're putting out that's better than anyone else's, or that's unique to what you've created for yourself. It's a unique process or whatever that you have for your service, but it's going to be specific to you. And for me, it's those frameworks, methodologies, which is, why I'm a coach and why I do strategy work. That's my thing. And last thing you want to have as a component for strong value proposition is communicating and clarifying what the results are that are achieved by engaging with your work, your offerings. And ideally, you would have both kind of hard results, meaning quantifiable things, like hard facts, right? And as well as soft results or the intangible kind of things. But it's going to be different things for different folks. So you might not necessarily be able to do that, but I actually challenge you to have both to really have a strong value proposition. So again, to use myself, my business and myself as an example, uh, a hard or quantifiable result that folks are going to see is an increase in their profit margins based off of like some of the strategies that I have around money management. Like that is automatically going to happen. Like it's a guarantee. Another thing that was definitely going to happen is an increase in time that you have to yourself because there's a significant streamlining of operations in the business. Like that also automatically is going to happen. Like that is clear. An example for a soft result or an intangible result for working with me, whether in the coaching program or on a personal retainer, is feeling more like you are a CEO. So you like stepping more into your leadership role rather than just being a solopreneur who kind of like has a business on the side that's, kind of making money as a side hustle. There's a very much market like mindset shift and sense of self that shifts that comes out of working with me in either container. Another thing is just really becoming much more comfortable with being abundant and wealthy because you're understanding better what you actually need and you're centering your needs. So there's a greater sense of authenticity and personal empowerment as well that comes through. That's an example of a soft result, right? So to recap those three things, being clear about what specific issue that you are helping people solve, how you specifically do that with your product or service, and the results that folks get. And that is essentially what the good components or the necessary components for making a strong value proposition, not only just for the business in general, which essentially is your mission statement. So if you don't have a strong mission statement, it's probably because of this. So this might help you create a stronger mission statement. But another benefit of having a strong value proposition is it helps build your brand because essentially when it's clear about what you do and who you serve, you become known for that thing. You essentially create the standard that people not only hold you to, but hold others to. Another thing that it helps to do is it empowers potential clients and being able to make a decision, whether yes or no, about whether or not they need to engage with you in your services or products or not. Right? We want empowered customers. We want empowered clientele. We don't want them confused about what they are going to be getting or what have you. Right? Because we can always provide like lots and lots of details, but it should be clear. So again, the clearer your value proposition is, the easier it is going to be for them to determine if it's going to be a yes or no. So also, when this is clear, the value proposition, it will inform your marketing, the language that is being used in your marketing. If it has these components when you are essentially asking for the sale or just building up nurturance around a thing before you present it, these components need to be filtered into that so that, again, it's hitting those points that make a strong value proposition that I mentioned, right? So I invite you to turn that on yourself, your business, see how that shifts things. Let me know. I always want to know how this essentially free coaching is helping.